Hey everybody, it's Austin Ward here for another Byers Auto Lettermen Live. It's a quieter time now. Urban Meyer didn't retire this week. There's not a Big Ten championship game. There's no injuries, nothing major going on. Ohio State in the midst of bowl preparation for that Rose Bowl against Washington. But some things deserve to be talked about. Early sign day is a week away. There is still that game to talk about. So we have Reid Fragel here, former Ohio State NFL offensive lineman, to talk about that team stuff, and our recruiting expert and consigliere, Jeremy Birmingham, wearing that fly #stuff shirt. He'll maybe autograph it and send one out. I don't know. What are the plans for that?
I mean, whatever. I'm down.
All right, so
it's Christmas time.
So guys, it's been a whirlwind, and I've been having a lot of conversations. Lettermen Row was in New York last week for the Heisman conversation, the ceremony presentation, everything that was going on there. Reid, a lot of Ohio State fans were kind of upset about the lack of attention for Dwayne Haskins, and I think Birm was one of them that thought it was outrageous. I thought it was kind of crazy that there weren't many cameras on him. People didn't give him a chance to win. And what did you think last week? I mean, just for starters, I thought Kyler Murray was a deserving winner, but I thought Dwayne Haskins needed more attention.
I think it could have gone any one of those three ways. I think each player you could have an argument for each one of those guys. That being said, I agree. I think there was a weird kind of lack of attention towards Dwayne, and even I think I saw like NBC Sports tweet out something. It was a graphic of Murray and Tua, and it's like, who's gonna win?
ESPN did the same thing on the front page of their app. It just had those two guys.
It's like, why? There's three guys going. Why are you going out of your way to not even include the third guy, no matter what the results may be? Obviously, hindsight's 20/20.
They invited three people for a reason.
Exactly. So it's stuff like that where you kind of it makes you scratch your head and wonder why the media is going out of their way to not include Dwayne, or if it's an Ohio State thing.
Yeah.
I think that the idea that the Heisman has so many people vote on it before the last 2 weeks of the season it invalidates the entire thing in my mind. And again, totally with you. I have no problem with Kyler Murray winning the Heisman, because for the same reason I think Dwayne should have been more highly considered, which is if you take him off of Oklahoma's team or take Dwayne off of Ohio State's team, they're 7-4 or 7-5 type football teams, the way that they played this year. Austin Kendall is not fixing Oklahoma's offense, okay? Tate Martell, as much as I like him, I don't know that he has the ability to lead Ohio State in the way that Dwayne did. If you took Tua off of Alabama's team,
which did happen
in the most important game of the year when they were down by 2 touchdowns at that point, they're just as good, if not better, than they are with him. And so to me, the only two choices were Dwayne and Kyler Murray. And I have no problem with Kyler winning it. I think he's totally deserving. But it was just obvious from the start that people did not consider Dwayne Haskins because of Ohio State losing at Purdue when he threw for 470 yards.
Yeah. But they never held any. They didn't hold the Texas game or the Army game against Kyler Murray. Like, I don't know that it's that specifically. Because
it could have been the Michigan State game. I mean, whatever.
People have asked me about this. They said, was it because Urban was suspended? I mean, you can find it. I don't know how to speak for the other voters, but they handed at 9:01 whatever in New York City on Saturday night a packet, from all these stats of where the votes came from, and one of them was 13% of the votes had been filed before Championship Saturday. Why?
Right.
Why do you not want every bit of information?
How many people left
Dwayne?
How many people left Dwayne off their ballot altogether?
I think the number was like around 600.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
But it's not just that. I think like the Heisman Trophy, more people waited and more people had more information, and that's why Dwayne was a finalist. What I really had a problem with was it's fine if he wasn't going to overcome Murray or Tagovailoa down the stretch, but the other major awards, the Maxwell, named their finalists on November 19th.
Before the Michigan game.
And you can't write in somebody else. That's before Michigan. That's before the Big Ten championship game. And he threw for almost 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns.
What's the rationale behind that? But
it's the old way of doing college football. Everything is so antiquated, from the bowl system to awards, where you had to mail it in and you needed weeks to determine it. They narrow down semifinalists in October and then finalists in the middle.
So it's simply just an outdated system.
Yeah, it takes you 2 seconds to file an online ballot now. Yeah. There is no motivation whatsoever for doing it that way. And it leads to situations where Dwayne Haskins isn't a finalist for the Davey O'Brien or any of the quarterback awards. You have Will Grier there with Murray and Tagovailoa and Gardner Minshew.
Right.
You look back, it's going to be embarrassing to people that the guy who broke every single season passing record in the Big Ten didn't win anything other than Big Ten.
It's unlikely that he throws for this many yards, but if Dwayne throws for 520 against Washington, he will double Troy Smith's yardage output when he won the Heisman.
Jeez. I just hope it's one of the things you look back on like 5 years from now. He has a stellar NFL career going, and you look back and say, well, what did he have to show for in college? Are you kidding me? This is all he has?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I mean, and the craziest part about it, Reid, is that you're going to look back and like, well, what were his college stats? Oh, that 2018 year was amazing. He only started for 1 year?
Right.
What was going on? Like, it's sort of it's unfortunate that Ohio State fans probably are only going to get to see that. I mean, it's certain that they're only going to see it for 1 year, in my opinion, but it's kind of crazy.
Depends if they recorded the games or not. You can watch it over and over.
But that decision is coming, and Birm, we talked about this a lot. If and when Dwayne Haskins goes, I think that there is a debate to be had about what Ohio State will do at quarterback. There are people that feel strongly, you've been one of them, about Tate Martell, but I think you also recognize that if this is going to be a passing offense moving forward, Matthew Baldwin might be.
I think that Ryan Day is going to walk into spring ball and say, open job, who wants it? And then we're going to see there are people and believers that Tate Martell is able to throw the ball well enough to win that job. He obviously, in very limited opportunities to throw this year, did okay. He's not Dwayne Haskins, neither is Matt Baldwin, so let's be clear. Much like Ryan Day isn't Urban Meyer, Matt Baldwin is not Dwayne Haskins. There's going to be a drop. But I think that if you like what you saw out of Ohio State's offense this year, then it seems to me Matt Baldwin would be the guy more likely to provide that sort of offense in the future. If you like what the offense has been in the previous years, then Tate Martell's more that guy. But I think that they're going to have an opportunity to fight for the job, and if one guy is clear-cut better than the other, he's going to take it. And what Ryan Day said at his introductory press conference was he's going to adapt his offense to his personnel. Yeah. If Tate Martell goes out and proves he's the better quarterback, then the offense is going to be different than it was this year. And that's the way it should be.
I think there was just frustration, Reid, at the end of that J.T. Barrett era about how much the quarterback run was needed. I don't know how you felt watching them, but I think there were justifiable reasons to think they were becoming a little bit predictable and maybe easy to defend. Easier. They still scored 40-plus points a game.
Exactly. They were still trying to implement it, though, with a pro-style quarterback, if you will. So that's why it's interesting for me moving forward. Will they go back to a quarterback that is more catered to the, I guess, traditional Ohio State offense that we've seen in the past 6-7 years or so, where Tate can move out of the pocket, he's comfortable scrambling, or are they going to kind of hone in on what was successful this year and kind of eliminate more of that zone read option?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for me, I like the old traditional offense of 3 yards.
The I formation
exactly.
back.
Get the fullback back in there. Zach Bourne out there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how, or I guess what direction Coach Day chooses to go with the offense.
And this is Lettermen Live, brought to you by Byers Auto. We've got Reid Fragel and Jeremy Birmingham here. I'm Austin Ward. And when they made that move, Reid, you spent 1 year working with Urban Meyer. We didn't talk to you at all last week. What were your reactions when Urban Meyer announced his retirement, the move here to as Ohio State now has a new head coach starting on January 2nd, and really he's putting his imprint on it already. But
yeah, it was. I think we talked about it early on in the season when the whole suspension thing was going on. Is how much time does he have left if he comes back? And I think we narrowed it down to like ultimately we see him at least a year left. So it was a little bit surprising, but not terribly surprising because the whole health concerns as those escalated, it kind of just came to a point where you take a step back after the decision was made, where it does make sense. If this is really how bad his health was, Shelley Meyer does a phenomenal job, I think, of staying on him on that. She made him sign a contract going into, I think, coming back into coaching at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So it wasn't terribly surprising. It's sad to see him go, obviously, because of his success that he's had here. But that being said, from the 3-game sample size we have of Coach Day, I'm pretty excited and confident in Coach Day moving forward.
Birm, he's had a week plus to get on the road and be the head coach. Corey Dennis is currently serving as that 10th on the road assistant.
If you need any proof how ready Urban was to stay home, I mean,
to not go out on the road.
He's just like, nope.
He's not doing his favorite thing in the world, which is recruiting. How's it going so far with that staff? As there's a week away from a pretty big deadline.
Yeah, unbelievably, they've lost nobody in the class of 2019. Garrett Wilson, 5-star receiver, immediately came out and reaffirmed his intention with Ohio State. It took a couple days, but 5-star offensive lineman Harry Miller did the same. They added a commitment 2 days later to the 2019 class, and Tommy Eichenberg from Cleveland St. Ignatius. And it speaks to what Ohio State's selling right now, which is continuity, and that's the reason why we talked for the last couple months. If Urban stepped away, why I thought Ryan Day was the right guy to be that guy, because they can just walk into a living room and say nothing is going to change system-wise. We're not reinventing the wheel here. You know what Urban's system is. You know I can run it. You've seen me run it. So just trust where we're going and let me prove to you that I'm the right guy. And so that's what they've been doing. It's a week away from the early signing period. 16 commitments right now. 13 of them are going to sign next week that we know for sure. And then they may add one or two more guys on signing day, including Zach Harrison, who's still up in the air between Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. So
you can't just dangle Zach Harrison out there.
Well, I mean, everyone knows who he is. He's still up in the air. So I think the at home with him is tonight, or could be at the end of the week. Ohio State hasn't finalized it, but they're still taking their shot there. Michigan lost their biggest commitment last Saturday, Daxton Hill to Alabama. He flipped to the Crimson Tide, and when he did, and Tommy Eichenberg added himself to the Ohio State class, the Buckeyes, with 7 fewer commitments, somehow became the Big Ten's top-ranked team again, which is incredible. Nice. Daxton's going to flip back to Michigan, though, so watch. That's going to happen sometime.
What?
It may have happened by the time this goes on the air. I don't know.
Flip?
But it's coming.
How many times can you flip?
It's coming. You can flip 100 times.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
You can flip all you want until you put
Where's
that
the
letter,
loyalty
until
at?
you put that ink on paper. And
Times have changed, man.
it may happen by the time it's over, by the time this is on the air. But so Michigan will take the lead back, and they're going to finish strong. But it's gone as good as the Buckeyes could hope. They've lost 2 2020 commitments, but there's so much time in that class that it's easy to replace most of those guys. So overall, it's been a remarkable job by Ryan Day, Billy Davis, Greg Sturawara, Greg Schiano. Everybody's been on the road. They're all selling the same vision. Who the heck knows what happens after January 2nd with the coaching staff? I know that there's a lot of people who want change to happen there. I don't know if it will or not. I assume some will, but if it does or doesn't, it's going to happen because Ryan Day wants it to.
Recruiting is wild these days, Reid.
Yeah, it's totally different from what it was, man.
Can you imagine going back and forth?
Oh, my
between
God.
Like why do you even announce a commitment publicly if you're going to flip back and forth between the same school? I don't understand.
There's that and the whole social media aspect to it now. I'm just kind of glad I dodged.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. I mean, I could always be wrong, but I'm fairly confident in saying he's going to flip back to Michigan.
Your
today.
predictions this year have been pretty accurate, as crazy as they've often been.
We'll see.
Reid, this month now is important now for, not right now, I wouldn't say that they're getting ready for Washington, but young guys are getting a lot of key reps in bowl preparation. But the coaching staff is on the road recruiting. It's a different calendar. It's kind of an unusual circumstance. What's the key to getting through a December as a player? What are you really trying to get done at this point?
Well, you're trying to get the younger guys in there, like you said, to kind of prepare yourself for next season. Obviously, playoffs aren't a thing right now, so you're able to kind of use this as, I mean, obviously you want to go out and showcase, obviously, Ohio State talent and win the game handedly, but at the same time, you're using it as a time, it's extra practice, basically, to prepare for next season. And ultimately, Coach Day, I think, will probably get more of the reins. I don't know how much he's spending on the road and on the field, but he's probably using his time to kind of form the mold, so to speak, of next year's team to come. And with that, kind of showing some of the younger guys the ropes through the senior talent that's leaving, really just gearing up for next season.
You know, it's weird. Ohio State missed that week of recruiting because of the Big Ten championship game, but it wouldn't have mattered because Urban was still the guy, and everything they did that week would have been undone 2 days after the Big Ten championship game anyway. So, I mean, the coaching staff has been on the road nonstop since that game ended in Indianapolis. So
it's just a weird kind of tweak to the month of December now with the way the recruiting calendar and early signing period has changed things. Birm, I know you're not a huge fan of it.
don't like it.
And in some ways it comes at the expense of the current players because
It forces current players to make NFL decisions earlier. It forces high school players to be put into positions where they lose leverage with their schools they're talking to. It forces the mid-major prospects who are still being flirted with by programs like Ohio State to basically throw away a potential to play at Ohio State or Bama or somewhere to play at Ohio because they're afraid that if they don't sign, then they're going to not get the offer they're hoping for. It's just a bad deal.
And the current players, I was talking about, this used to be a big deal. Like, you wanted to get to a bowl if you were a lesser team. Purdue, let's get to 6-6 so that we can work the young guys and get things going. Well, now all of a sudden, whether you're Purdue or Ohio State or whoever, the young guys aren't getting their position coaches necessarily for every practice. That's not the case for every single one, but it's not quite the bonus training camp that it might have used to be when Reid was still in school. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to, I guess.
So that's changed a little bit. Again, a little bit abbreviated version here of Lettermen Live. Waiting for some things to start happening here. Again, a little bit of a dead period with Ryan Day taking over. Signing day next week. We're going to have a lot more here brought to you by Byers Auto in the weeks ahead. It's early National Signing Day. Next week, Birm has that covered at lettermenrow.com. We'll have all that next Wednesday. Reid will be around. He's got some Buckeye Qs coming. We're going to look at Wyatt Davis and his debut in the Big Ten Championship game. And then everything after that will be in Pasadena for the Rose Bowl. The whole crew will be there for lettermenrow.com. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. For Jeremy Birmingham, Reid Fragel, I'm Austin Ward.